Hello Art 2 students. So this video is just going to sort of introduce you to the idea that is your next project, because your next project is going to involve a little bit of math because you are using some terms from math which basically involve tessellations. And a tessellation is simply a design based on a shape that is repeated over and over to create some type of pattern. This is an example, for instance, of a tessellation, and you have probably seen already some of the examples that are on Google Classrooms. You've seen the MC Escher website that I linked, and hopefully you've had a chance to read over the other explanations and descriptions that are on Google Classrooms for you. Remember that you do have a Google form due on, I think I said it to be due on November 4th, and that Google form will help you decide which type of tessellation you want to do for your particular project, because there are three main types as we've gone over in the Google Slides presentation and in the other videos and things that are posted. And these are translation or a slide, where your shape literally just slides and repeats over and over because it just slides and connects into itself. And then there is a reflection, which is basically a mirror image of your shape. And then there is a rotation, which is where the object, the shape, pivots, sort of. And then it will all interlock. And that's what this one is. This is an example of a rotation because you see it all pivots around one point and then repeats. And that will make a lot more sense as we go along. But the first thing that I want to do in this particular video is just introduce you a little bit to some of the steps that you'll be doing. Because once you figure out which type of tessellation you want to do, the first step is that you will receive a little 3-inch square like the one that I currently have on the table, and I'll zoom in so you can see those. Each one of these squares has already been designed for a specific type of tessellation. For instance, if you look at this one, I have drawn my shapes, my lines from corner to corner, corner to corner, and then I've written little instructions to help myself remember exactly what to do with that shape. This one is going to be a reflection. So basically I'm going to cut this out and I'm just going to slide it down after I flip it. So you have to flip it this way. And that will make a little more sense. And then this one I'll cut off here, and then I'm going to flip it like this and then slide it over. That way the object, the entire pattern, repeats in this direction and then overlaps in the other direction. So that would be the reflection idea. This one is an example of a rotation. So basically, again, corner to corner, corner to corner, and then instead of flipping anything, I'm just going to pivot. So I'm going to pivot this way. The main thing is I'm going to be pivoting on the corner. So this little corner that I cut out is going to stay on that little corner. And then this shape is just going to flip across. It's going to pivot right here. And then this one, same thing. This part is going to still be on that corner, and then the rest is just going to pivot. So on your rotation, specifically, you can pivot in either direction. As you can see, both of these two pivot in a different direction. The main thing is to make sure that your sides all pivot the same way. So on this one, everything pivots this way as you're creating that stencil. On this one, everything pivots this way as you're creating that stencil. So then that way, your shape, your actual stencil, will overlap and interlock as you turn it. So this is the one that I showed you the example of a moment ago. It all pivots around this point. So if you look at the pattern specifically, you can see where everything meets, and there's usually this on both sides, and then there's another point where this was cut from, which then creates the other pivot point. So again, that will make a lot more sense as I go along. And then the last example, the easiest example, honestly, is the translation or slide, simply because on that one, you cut your shape out, you slide it down. You cut your shape out, you slide it across. Same thing here, which is an even simpler version. I just have one thing drawn. I'm just going to cut it out and slide it down. And then with this type of tessellation, with the translation slide tessellation, you are just interlocking the same shape in the same direction over and over and over and over on your page. So again, the reflection example to me is the most complex, simply because you draw from corner to corner, corner to corner, and then you have to flip what it is that is being cut out before you can attach it to the other side. And I will show you that as well, because I will do a demonstration of each one of these so that you can see. And then lastly, the rotation. Again, the key thing to remember is that everything pivots in the same direction.